This is iRacing.
It's a classic series, but now let's get a legacy feel over to it. There is normally one oval round, which puts a little bit of a difference maker as far as a season goes. With a mile oval like this one here at the Phoenix Raceway, you start turning around and say, what makes it difficult? You don't have the luxury here on this layout of running yourself all the way over the apron because the grass is back. It's a little bit tighter, this circuit, and it's a little bit more rough and tumble. Welcome to Grand Prix Legends Racing here for 2025 Season 3. My name's Jake Sperry. Along with me in the booth for today's action is Ryan Walker, with Christian Deploy in Director's Chair, assisted by Daniel Costello, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But when it comes to the oval, it is always a little bit different to what you normally see out there when it comes to regular racing action with your Grand Prix Legends series. If you want to know what it takes to be the very best around this track here, you've just got to keep an eye out on this GSRC track guide.
Originally constructed in 1964, Phoenix International Raceway can thank its unique layout to that of necessity, with the now famous dogleg being constructed out of a need to incorporate a nearby drag strip and infield and outfield road course. Originally conceived as the West Coast home for open-wheel racing, the circuit played host to USAC and sports car events before CART held its first race at the track in 1979. NASCAR also held events at the circuit, but it wasn't until 1988 when the Avondale track would play host to the flagship Stock Car Series. Over time, the scales have tipped away from open-wheel cars and more towards NASCAR's favor, but the circuit still remains a favorite for drivers of all series. Although the circuit has gone through many changes throughout the years, the legacy version preserved here on iRacing retains many of the track's defining characteristics. A relatively flat circuit for an oval, a lap around Phoenix begins with a run down the front straightaway before diving into turn 1. While it is possible to go too wide through the corner, caution is advised because of the many bumps on the circuit make it hard to hold a clean line. From there, it's a run into the dogleg. Take it flat out, but watch out for the rumble strips on corner apex. Then it's a run into turn 3, a seemingly never-ending flattened corner. The tires may groan out, but have faith in the car and it will see you return back to the start-finish straightaway. Altogether, the track is narrow. Track blockage is sometimes likely, but don't let that discourage you. Phoenix is a tricky circuit to master, but especially in its legacy format, it is an absolute treat to get right.
It always seems to be that the Phoenix Raceway is one which is often loved in terms of being oval oriented out there, but the difference is you've not got much banking to deal with, just a maximum of 11 degrees worth of it if you're going to be pushing around. So this is going to feel very much, Ryan, like a race to the bottom here in Avondale, Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely, Jake, and yeah, it's fantastic. Phoenix Raceway Oval has been around for a very long time. It's one of my favourite oval tracks on the iRacing service, and it opened back in the 4th of January 1964, and it's been around for pretty much an eternity. It's pretty much 1 mile in length or 1.6 kilometres, and it has 11 degrees banking. So as you see on the map there, you think it's pretty much an oval, a simple oval at that, but as you look on the map, it's got different type of banking in each corner, so you've pretty much got to be on your toes around this track because sometimes it can catch you out. And with these Lotus 49s, I think patience, being on your toes is going to be the main thing that these drivers are going to have to be wary of with these feisty Lotus 49s.
Yeah, these 49s, which of course would have been the era of car of Jim Clark and Graham Hill, and of course Graham Hill doing both the double of winning at the Indianapolis and at Monaco, which you don't often get to see, is going to be something worth talking about with the history and legacy of this Lotus 49. But we talk about championship because as we come into today, it's going to be a little bit different to what we normally see. It's been Jorge Nieves' championship at the moment, but it is very close fought here in the F1 driver standings, with Mick Claridge just 4 points adrift. Nicola Cocchi is sat in third at 18 points back, with Henry Morse in fourth. Kevin Verbruggen looks to lead the charge then, along with best of the rest, as Gary Ho is in sixth position ahead of John Olsen. Seb Clapper, I believe it's Seb Tixier there, but he's deciding he's going to have a Clapper-style season and says, I'm Seb Clapper for this one, is in 8th place, with Robert Plumley in 9th and Gary Quellin rounding out your top 10. F2 standings are for those with a little bit less iRacing than those at the very top, but still proves to be an even closer affair.
Yeah, absolutely. With Thomas Wellhausen currently leading the championship by 1 point over second place Zen Carr, and then you've got Thomas Tomatsky in third, with Mats Linden in fourth, and then you've got Tobias Hermvik in fifth, with Donald Peake in sixth, and then Mikhail Zabel, and then Josephine Becker in 8th, with Roberto Pangrazzi in 9th, and rounding at the top 10 in the F2 Championship is Thomas Tuba. So at the top, it's still all to play for.
Yeah, we're going to quickly go through the Nations Cup because we've only got 5 minutes of qualifying instead of the 8 that we traditionally have. Spain on top by 18 over Italy, with the Netherlands and the United States third and fourth. Sao Tome and Principe, love that team. They're fifth, tied with Tuvalu, as well as the United Kingdom are 7th. Hong Kong in 8th, with Brazil 9th, and Sweden rounding out your top 10 as it goes. So the latest stages of qualifying are about to go through. We are on round 6 of 12, the halfway stage. 72 laps here today, so this is going to be hard fought as they go. Open setups then for everyone to try and get the best work through. No spare car, and then drive through at 17, disqualification at 25. Makes up how everybody is going to run off today, and the field is set here today, and the numbers are going to be a little bit different because they're running oval iRating numbers here for this field, and it is Topi Courtaniemi who is the fastest in qualifying then, with a 29.062. Jorge Nieva, the championship leader, alongside Henry Morse and Mick Claridge are on row 2, with Warren Roloff and Jeffrey Stanton, who has got the highest iRating in oval in this field, going from 6th. John Olsen and Kevin Verbruggen will house row 4, with the top 10 rounded out by Shunsuke Tashima and Laust Olsen.
Gary Ho starts in 11th, with Arturas Kundelis in 12th, with Yoshihiro Hashimoto in 13th, with Kyle Ridley in 14th, and then Jason Clapper 15th. Luca Harrison in 16th, with Ryan Torchetti in 17th, Alan Graham in 18th, Gabriel Pellegrino in 19th, and Bill Tyler rounded out the top 20.
33 cars here today, 29 set qualifying lap times. Mickey Friesen and Henry Viramaki make up row 11. 23rd for Cam Porter, along with Ray Oliver in 24th, as Kurt Clapper and Tobias Hernvey are there on row 13. 27th for Michael Grissinger, with David Tomaszki 28th, and Stephen Bullock is in 29th position. By iRating then, it's Donald Peake who goes from 30th, then with Seb Clapper, Mats Linden, and Sven Oberholzer, the Swiss driver, rounding out the 33-car field. Pace will dictate behind the iRacing sedan safety car. That is one car way off over on the left-hand side as the green flag's gone. So that's Seb Clapper deciding that I am a little bit out of position, looking very Giancarlo Fisichella-like twice in Malaysia, then as they get themselves ready. But I want to talk track temperature here today. Middle of the midday sun in Arizona. It's a 55-degree track temp. A very hot circuit then as we look to get ourselves set and ready for racing action. And knowing that 72 laps will be hard fought for, such a hot track means that it's going to be even more emphasis on drivers pushing towards the bottom of the circuit and getting themselves set and situated. Here in Phoenix, the midpoint of the season, there are still championship points to be hard fought for. A lot of drivers choosing today as their day off, but other drivers indicating that this is a day where they want points and they want it to be known. Pace car dives down off onto the inside. Pace under the control of Topi Courtiniemi, who gets a great launch, a green flag in the air. We're underway here from Phoenix.
Yep, there's a head into turn one. Everyone's hopefully a little bit cautious with it being such a tight track as well. But it looks like everyone's been relatively clean so far. But Topi Courtiniemi got a great start off the line, and as I say that as well, Mick Claridge looks like he's putting up, or actually Jorge Neva, sorry, he's putting him under a bit of pressure.
Yep, so that pressure's definitely going to come in. I don't think there's going to be cautions here today either, so that's going to really wake up drivers if there are issues out there, as Henry Morse pushes down on the low line, the middle line working the best out there off of the start of the race, as there's going to be a tangle with Nieva almost off of the exit, opens up through the dogleg then, and allows Mick Claridge into line representing Tuvalu out there for the Nations Cup. Jeffrey Stanton in fifth, Verbruggen behind in sixth, Roloff, Olsen, Kundelish, Tashima, all there looking to try and work out what is going to have them best placed today as far as racing goes. We don't expect a pit stop either to shake it up, but Nieva with the fastest lap check mark now pushes to the outside, the inside now, trying to get this move done. But here comes Morse again, working now to the outside line.
There's a ride on board with Mick Claridge, closing right up under braker as well, and that's the thing with these cars as well. You've got to give it a little bit of a tap on the brakes because they don't have as much downforce. Oh, something's happened, I think.
Yeah, it's 3 wide into turn one. That's what's happening here. Real pushes of pace, and it will be Morse on the outside who gets the drive. Nieva can't get the slide job working. Henry Morse to the front, and now Courtiniemi to second. Nieva's third, and Claridge into fourth position. So Henry Morse has come to race and has a whole heap of battle to try and work with. There are other battles all the way through. You look there just in the back of shot, Shinsuke Tashima getting by Arturas Kondelis for position, Jason Clapper and Gary Ho out there. And a rare thing that we've seen here today, Ryan, which is Jason Clapper actually qualifying the car.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to bring it up as well. That Jason Clapper, sometimes qualifying has not really been a strong point for him, or sometimes he doesn't qualify and he likes to try and get through the field. But at the moment, he's actually doing a decent job as well, down there in 13th place. But yeah, plenty of battles going on at the moment as Jorge Neva in third place, under attack from Mick Claridge. Claridge trying to take a little bit of a sneaky move into turn one.
Yeah, and Mick Claridge, as we know, is close in the championship fight with Jorge Nieva, so those two will be keeping a lot of focus on each other and what they're able to do. Henry Morse is an outside threat for the championship and will definitely want to score his points, and Topi Courtiniemi is what we like to call here aura farming.
Absolutely, rider on board with Claridge as we come across the line. Claridge in fourth position at the moment. If you're Mick Claridge at the moment and you're thinking of the championship, I would just play it patient at the moment. I mean, we're on lap 7 of 72, so plenty of time to try and make positions up. But he's got Jorge Neva, another championship contender in front of him. I think you do get the temptation to try and make a move, but if it was me, I would think of the long game.
I would as well, and that long game's going to be important. 0.6 of a second now. Henry Morse finds himself clear. Claridge has a little search to the inside, and again runs into trouble and has to get out of the power and hope that everybody else doesn't close on in, which they do through the form of Jeffrey Stanton. And the cloud cover that has come over the circuit, a rare cloud right now in Avondale, has dropped the track temperature by a full 7 degrees out there to 48 degrees. That will give drivers a lot of help early on with their tyre life as they look to try and work themselves around the circuit. Stanton looking behind at Verbruggen, who now watches Warren Roloff now try and bring into power here. You'll see, especially when an oval's called in a little bit of specialist machinery, you'll see some of the US drivers love to bring themselves out there. Shunsuke Tashima Now looking around at the likes of John Olsen, now stuck on the outside trying to get the drive, and it's going to be another fight over to turn 1 here as we look to start lap 10.
And Tsushima tried to make a position here on the outside, tried to get that 7th position, and you can hold the high line, Jake. If there's grip on the outside, you can use that high line to your advantage to try and carry that momentum. And it looks like Tsushima's just done that.
Yeah, it certainly managed that very well. Now, one of the things we'll be talking about over the course of this race here, Ryan, is the fact that they're not just pinning the foot down to the floor and running around like a super speedway. There's a lot of, I would say, skill that's needed. They're dropping down to about 160 kilometers an hour in through turns 1 and 2. By the time they exit the dogleg and hit to 3 and 4, they're doing over 260 kilometers an hour before having to jam the brakes down to about 165.
Absolutely, and also with these cars as well, they're not like the modern Indy cars as well. Like you see racing in real life, they don't have loads of downforce. It's more down to the driver being smooth with their steering inputs and the throttle inputs as well. So as I look at Seb Clapper as well, currently down in 23rd, not normally where we're used to seeing him, but maybe ovals is not really his strong thing as he tries to make a move, but he cannot get the move done.
Yeah, and Seb Clapper here working against Mickey Friesen, who's doing very well when it comes to the IMSA Vintage Series, which will be with us later today on the Global Sim Racing channel. You can tune in for that at 6 p.m. BST, at 1 p.m. Eastern for that action. But nearer the front again we go. Oh, contact!
Oh.
And that is Yoshiharu Hashimoto up into the barriers then at turn 1, was trying to work away around Jason Clapper, just got too close and went up over his rear tyre.
Yeah, just being a little bit too eager with how late he wanted to brake or carry more speed into the corner. He just got caught out by the car in front of him, just slowing down and just being a little bit too aggressive at the early stage of the race. But as we look back up at the front, at 3rd place, Jorge Nieva trying to hold on to that position from Mick Claridge, but right behind Mick Claridge you've got Jeffrey Stanton as well. So a bit of a three-way fight going on for 3rd place.
Well, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-way fight at the moment, all the way back to Shunsuke Toshima, who is there in position number 8 at this point in time. This is all about giving yourself focus. Now, this is Yoshiharu Hashimoto's trouble. So you're always trying to pinch the car down into the corner, and he just gets too close. Those rear tyres, incredibly chunky, generates all the power for the car. And for Hashimoto, it's a case of I will clip the barriers, and there's not much more that can be done from that. Claridge left to watch at this point in time, trying to figure out where to go, but they've now got lap traffic for the first time here, the form of Stephen Bullock.
Absolutely, and lap traffic around this Phoenix track as well is absolutely a nightmare, because on the one hand, you're a lap car, you don't want to get in the way, but there's nowhere for you to go, especially on an oval. You've kind of just got to just brace yourself. And as Mick gets by, and looks like Mick's actually lost a position, I think.
Or 2, because that's Kevin Verbruggen through. So Jeffrey Stanton got down low. Mick Claridge got a little bit balked up on the high side, and then as quickly as that, Mick Claridge loses out. Big sideways slide through from Jeffrey Stanton. That will certainly eye open up as they go, and they will fan almost 3 wide. Mick Claridge follows through. Behind that, Shunsuke Toshima looking for a run. He has to lift off of it, and Warren Roloff brings himself in. Claridge with a power move, trying to use the banking through the middle of the corner. Pinch through the middle, attack off the exit of 4, and will get back to position past Jeffrey Stanton. So had to do a lot of work to get there, but critically got the job done.
He did. He used that outside, he used the high line to his advantage and carried that momentum, and managed to get on the power early as well, and they retake that position. So Claridge back up into 4th place, and the next car in front of Claridge is Jorge Nieva.
Main rival in the championship, the championship leader on lap 18, going to lap 19 here of 72, with Henry Morse clear out there by 1.4 seconds then as they last crossed the line. So a lot to be gathered up still as we are in the early stages. Good battles going on all throughout the field. Second pack is Kyle Ridley, Jason Clapper, Gary Ho, Bill Tyler and Luca Harrison out there at the moment. Tyler, a gain of 6 so far in this race. One of the bigger movers. 6 as well gained for Ray Oliver out there as Jeffrey Stanton in 5th position watches behind as Kevin Verbruggen again having to be a little bit cautious going through the corners. Now, this line will also migrate as the race goes on. The more you run the bottom, the more slipperier it's going to be with the amount of rubber laid down.
Absolutely, and that's why it's always worth using the high line, because the high line will start to rubber in as well, and the high line will stick with that as well. We'll have more grip. So as the race, I think as the race goes on and as we get towards the end, don't be surprised if you see some more and more drivers start to use that high line to try and start making moves.
They'll want rotation as much as they can. This is what's happened to Tobias Hernvey, who gets a full lock sideways, trying to save the car, and that is spinning out of 2 and into the infield, does tag the wall on the back, and so that causes a little bit of discomfort with how it goes. Seb Clapper back down to the inside then, this time on Ryan Turcotte for position, and Turcotte won't turn turncoat and he will lose the place. Claridge gets back to the rear then of one Mr. Jorge Nieva, who doesn't seem to have that much confidence anymore. And look at this is going to be a breeze on by from Mick down to the inside and will now take that place away. So well done, but again, that high line works perfectly, but so well done to have to be revoked there. Jorge Nieva knows what he's got. He's got a car that works a little tight into the corners, and so he's got to get the rotation in the mid part.
Absolutely. More drivers using that high line now and then. It looks like Claridge is going to take that position, but it's one thing, you can try and use that tight line low in the oval, but the only thing is basically it kind of compromises your exit on the...
Ray Oliver.
It looks like something's happened.
Yeah, there's been a big junk up over through turn 3. It's involved Alan Graham, David Tomaszki and Henry Viamaki have had to take avoiding action for it, and the leaders have just scrambled through it. So that could have been disastrous. We're in a massive slew now of lap traffic battles. Look at what's happening just in front of the leaders with the likes of Sven Oberholzer, Michael Grissinger, Donald Peake. They're all there fighting 3 wide in front of Henry Morse, and look at how the pack tries to continue through the melee that they've got to navigate here.
And this is the thing as well with oval racing. You've got back markers in front of you. You've got to be very patient. It's so easy to make a rash move because you want to try and get by back markers as quickly as possible, but it can go horribly wrong. But as we look at a replay of Gary Ho, it's something happening to him.
Yeah, so this was into the... Oh, and there's the tag. So that's where it starts, into the barriers. And I think there's a secondary hit that goes through. It was the number 10 machine that got caught up. So Bill Tyler in the mix. And look at that, Robert Plumley straight into Gary Ho there onto the head-on collision. And it continued on through the corner. 4, 5, 6, 7. We talk about it. It's tighter, this Phoenix version, the legacy layout, compared to the one that's currently run in iRacing most commonly. So it does mean that incidents tend to stay up on the banking.
Absolutely, and that's just, as I was saying, it's so easy to make a rash move and that just go horribly wrong, as we saw there for Gary Ho. But as a ride on board with Jeffrey Stanton, currently in 5th place, right behind this battle for 3rd place with Mick Claridge and Jorge Nieva, and it looks like Stanton's trying to make a move, but he had to back out of it because of the closing speed.
Shunsuke Tashima sits there as well in 6th position. He's got a lot of fan support in chat for him as he looks to go. And on the outside then, dropping the places, Max Linden, who's a lap down, trying to stay out of any dramas out there. And it's 0.8 of a second now, the gap at the front of the field. Courtney-Amy's used the traffic well, trying to claw back Henry Morse, who leads this field. Stanton in 5th, trying to work out where to go. They've got Michael Grissinger to try and pass, and they're 2 they're going to try and go either side. Mick Claridge catches Michael Grissinger there. Always risky to try that, Mick, and he has a massive shunt to go on through and navigate that. Never part of the plan. He will continue on, but surely now damaged.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Mick Claridge has got some suspension damage now, because that was a hefty hit with Michael Grissinger, and I think Mick was just being a little bit impatient there, and it unfortunately bit him.
Well, the traffic's got to try and play ball, and you're always told as lap traffic, you've got to go up high. The black and orange mechanical flag is there for Mick Claridge. It now means that Stanton is up to 4th. Tashima now 5th. Warren Roloff is now in 6th, and there is Mick Claridge down into pit lane and speeding about in there, trying to get to his box. And I think at this point it will be day dunzo for him and out of the race, and he knows it there that he's tried to do something risky and the traffic's just not played ball. So Nieva, a massive chance to gain points in the championship with no Nicola Cocky here today. Mick Claridge in trouble. Oh, and as we say that, he gets caught up with the lap traffic there. Stanton as well. Overholzer there, running wide along with another car out there, which was Donald Peake. And look at it, it is pretty much a case of it will happen along the entire straight. Yeah,
and there's cars scattered everywhere in turn 1, and everyone behind is trying to avoid an accident, but yeah, it's this Phoenix Raceway is starting to take some people, and it's not taking any prisoners, by the way, and that's the nature, or that's why I love this track. It's such a challenge, but if you get it wrong, this Phoenix track will bite you.
It really will, and it will hurt like anything. And if you have a little look on the left-hand side of your screen, if you see anybody with an orange highlight next to their name, it indicates that they've got the black and orange mechanical flag, and they have to come down in and get mandatory service within 4 laps. A wonderful little addition to our timing tower here at the Global Sim Racing channel. It does mean now it's Tashima versus Roloff, and it's for the final spot on the podium.
Absolutely, Tashima's having a great run so far as well. It's been a quiet run for him, but it's been a great run nevertheless. And that's it. Sometimes it's not always a bad thing to have a quiet run and just keep out of trouble. As we look at Kevin Verbruggen in 7th place, and a bit of contact.
And both of them into the wall. Verbruggen catches the back of Arturas Kundelis, the Lithuanian, and then both of them find themselves out of the race. There are no fast repairs to save them. Well, Verbruggen doesn't have the black and orange mechanical flag, but that is a nasty, nasty moment out there for Arturas Kundelis. No luck at all in that, and it does promote again. So Seb Clapper up to 7th position now. You got drivers like Gabriel Pellegrino into the top 10. Mickey Friesen finds himself in 10th place now. So a lot of big changes happening, but for the moment, Warren Roloff continues to try and work her way through, and Clapper now has a look through the traffic here to get around Bullock. Will now eye up Luca Harrison.
Yep, so it's been Seb's having a great race so far, and managing to get through the field and not get caught up in any incidents, which is not always a bad thing as well. Having a clean race, and Seb up in 7th, and Harrison just in front of him. So could Seb get on the podium at this rate if people in front of him keep having issues? I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, you got a group of 3 and a group of 2 together. So Mawson, Courtaniemi, Tashima Roloff, and John Olsen, who's kept very quiet in this race, in 5th position. It's not out of the realms of possibility. But I want to look at his setup here, Ryan, because no screen at all to work with, no monitor screen.
I've noticed that with a few iRacers in the past, they don't have the monitor right in front of them. But I think I've never used VR myself, so I don't know what the thinking is behind it. If it's more of a space thing, or just maybe something not to distract them. But I think it's quite. It would probably take me a while to get used to not having a monitor in front of me. But I think maybe it's just a comfort thing. Seb prefers it that way.
Yeah, masquerading as Seb Clapper here is Sebastian Tixier, and trying again to get by Luca Harrison, who goes a bit too deep. Clips the wall on the outside, the safer barriers that are there, and the pass done. So Seb Clapper now up into P number 6 then with that pass, and Kevin Verbruggen now sits and waits on the back of this group. But as we reach the halfway stage and just over, it should calm down from this point onwards, because we have lost a whole heap of drivers out of this field. I count at the moment us down to 17 runners. This was the big one that caught everybody. So Donald Peake on the outside, traffic, he clips the wall, and Oberhauser does exactly the same, hits Nieva, hits Stanton, and then this is just going to go on for pretty much forever and a day as nobody slows up to try and avoid the incident.
Yeah, I think maybe some people just came round and didn't expect to see cars in the middle of the track, but if you're getting a yellow flag, you're kind of expected to slow down slightly. So people that kept it flat, it's their fault for getting caught up in it.
It very much is. 1.5 seconds then for Henry Morse over Toppy Courteniemi out there, and it does clean this field up a bit. Kevin Verbruggen now, who gets that one done down the inside of Luca Harrison and makes the pass there. Look at the most famous engine in motorsport, the Ford DFV Cosworth.
Rider on board with Kevin at the moment, currently in 7th place, and I was expecting him to fall further back after being caught up with that incident with the other car that was in front of him, but actually doing well to stay up there in 7th place, and right behind him as well you've got Harrison, and behind Harrison you've got that's a lap car. I was going to say it's Pellegrino, but he's further back.
Yeah, and Pellegrino's in a big scrap right now with both Ryan Turcotte and Mickey Friesen. This is for the top 10, and Ryan Turcotte has got to try and figure out which way am I going to go in order to make this move. He can't quite get there with that side-by-side effort that we saw previously, so now it's going to be about trying to figure out which is the best way to make it happen. The good news is you got 31 laps to figure it out. The bad news is 31 laps, that's 15 minutes.
Absolutely, in 15 minutes around an oval, you probably think it takes a long time, but around an oval, when it's especially when it's a whole green flag run, that's it pretty much fist flies by, because maybe you're just stuck in a battle, you're in the zone, and you don't even realise it will just fly by. But as you look at Ryan Turcotte at the moment down in 11th place, currently just in front of him, he's got Friesen and Pellegrino, so. Yeah, pretty much a battle for the last places inside the top 10.
And so it becomes a case where you look at Ryan Turcotte, Mickey Friesen, Gabriel Pellegrino, where are they going to start thinking about, can we go and make these passes? Can we find these moves? And can we expect a little bit of difference? Speaking of differences, we got a bit of side-by-side for third as well. Warren Roloff is trying to figure out whether third place can be found from Shunsuke Tsushima. But for Turcotte, it's a case of just looking at the moment, nothing more that can be done. I'll watch, and I'll watch some more and see how close Mickey Friesen's going to get. The answer is not close enough to make that move, but I tell you what, this has been the day of the driver who can do landmine avoidance. So this is a big amount of keep yourself out of trouble here and make sure that you've got every chance of finding a prioritised result finish.
Absolutely, and I mean, if you're not up at the front challenging for a winner podiums, still getting a top 10 result on an oval and just keeping out of trouble, it does feel rewarding, because basically, if you're patient around in an oval race, it can pay off. So even if you finish inside the top 10, it's still a rewarding result. And I think for some of these guys that are maybe not used to racing on the ovals, I think they'll probably feel the same.
I'm pretty sure they'll feel like this is a case of survival first, and everything else is going to be a bonus as Roloff on the low side. They've got to get past Henry Viramaki here, who is lap down traffic in 13th place. And at least for the moment here, Tsushima is just comfortably managing things at the moment, carrying that low line, making it difficult for Warren Roloff to get any form of run to attack, and just watching there through the exit. Very good at getting the run. On the top right of your screen, this is picture-in-picture, because Mickey Friesen now doesn't get the greatest run either, and that brings Turcotte through the dog leg to try and find a way to get through on this 11 degrees of banking here through turns 3 and 4.
Indeed, and it looks like we might have a move going on and a change of position. It looked like there was going to be a change of position for a second there, but yeah, that the high line not working at that time, and that's the thing as well. If the cars in front of you are using the high line as well, it can kind of compromise you in a way, because you're not able to get close to them. So you've kind of got to think outside the box.
Henry Viramaki spun the car, and that's at turn 1, and it was just a casual spin to the outside. Very easily done if you just step a little bit over the limit of grip and say there is not much I can do. Roloff here is still holding that 4th place, but wants it to be 3rd. desperately so wants it to be third, but the difference makers are as well. We are starting to see drivers come back out of the pit after getting the mandatory damage repaired. Vera Marchi there with that contact into the barriers. Jorge Nieva back out and going, 16 laps adrift. But this is where it gets interesting for Nieva as far as this race goes. Yes, 16 laps adrift as Roloff now works to the outside. Try and get that move. Will he be still scored depending on how much race distance has been covered? Roloff then will have to just roll off the throttle by name and nature, gets the drive through the dog leg, and there will be another throw back by Tashima to try and get that pass back. But again, if the outside line, if you hold it pinned through the middle, you got a chance to attack off the exit. Still struggling and still side by side.
Yeah, but I think he's coming across the line. It'll be Roloff that takes the position, and indeed he does. So Roloff with a fantastic move on the outside. He managed to keep that momentum on the high line, keep that speed in the mid corner as well, and on the exit he managed to get the move done. So fantastic driving by Roloff.
It's wonderful driving here by Warren Roloff. This is what you need out of a drive here, just to quietly work your way up through the order, pick off a little bit here or a little bit there, and it certainly does pay off. By its comparison, John Olsen has to sit on the back and keep himself in range as Mickey Friesen now will eye up a 9th place here against Gabriel Pellegrino. So give him credit, he's done well, but as he does, he slides through the middle of the corner, keeps it out of the barriers, and now looks to pinch off the exit, gets away with one, but now Mickey Friesen can sense some vulnerability there. Now a lap down on your leader here, this group, and that group is led by Henry Morse.
Absolutely, and Henry Morse has pretty much been in command of this race so far, and once he got to the front, he's pretty much just managed to use the traffic to his advantage and build up that gap to Corteliemi behind him to about 3 seconds. So Henry Morse putting on a good display at the moment, but we've still got about 19 laps left in this race to go, so anything can happen.
It can, and so if you can find that move, it's going to be critical in the later stages of this race. But there are drivers who are turning around and saying, what more can we do? Tashima's not given this one up either, and if these two decide they want to battle aggressively, it will bring someone like John Olsen back into play, who will want to try and move on through and gain the positions. The fight again through the dogleg and now into turn 3. 2 tyres over the yellow line, which indicates the apron. You can't afford to cross it too much out there because it's really no good for the tyres and the setup that you build to get through. Tashima then will take over the line, that by about 100th of a second, but again trying to force low down at 155 kilometers an hour. Cannot get the drive, and Roloff holds.
Absolutely, and I think Roloff still holding that fair position, but I don't think Tashima will be given up by any means. And I think if you're Tashima, you've got to try something different. I mean, try and carry up speed on the outside into turn 1 as well. It's like Tashima as well, going for the move on the inside. Can he get the move done? The Roloff goes to the high line, and I wonder, will he try and put the power on early to try and carry that momentum? And it looks like Roloff holds that position yet again.
Wonderful driving off the exit by Warren Roloff, and once more he holds himself in fantastic regard. Pellegrino's done well against Mickey Friesen with Topi Cortiniemi going through all of them, so that might be where you start thinking about where can this group go through, where the lap traffic hits the latest possible stage. Tashima again now trying to move into the second lane to pinch away that run up on the top, and it's just not working. He needs a little bit more confidence in the car's rotation to go through, and that's very difficult when you've got a car that is so reliant on basically the mechanical grip as you go through for an open Formula car instead of aerodynamics.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing with Tashima as well. He's using that low line as well, but with the low line, you're kind of compromising your exit because you can't get on the power early like you can on the outside if you're using the high line. So Tashima, I think he's just, like you said, Jay, he's not got the confidence to try and get on the power early like Roloff has. So it's kind of, yeah, just doesn't have the confidence like Roloff can. I think if Roloff can get into a rhythm, he could pull away as we ride on board with John Olsen.
Yeah, the call was inside by Michael Grissinger, and I think Roloff was a little slow to react to it. as we watch on board with John Olsen. There, Mickey Friesen loses out. Ryan Turcotte now is into 10th place with the pass and gets that move done at 1 lap down on the leaders. But Tashima here is realizing that Warren Roloff maybe is a little slow around what the traffic's going to do on the exit of some of these corners. And when you've got Vera Maki to get by, Claridge and Porter as the next 3 to try and work a way by, I'd say Warren Roloff here is in a position where Shunsuke Tashima wants a way through, but he's just got to keep covering it off. 12 laps remaining here in the Desert Duel at Phoenix.
And Tashima, I think this time as well, is definitely figured out that the Highlines, pretty much has got to try and risk it on the Highline to try and make a move on Roloff again, because Roloff now is doing a great defensive job. But look who else has joined this battle for third place is John Olsen.
Yeah, and John Olsen, I think, has been very clever, hasn't shown the cards. You can't go that high, Shunsuke, and expect to see a move made. This will be a case of just trying to find a little bit of air even out there, a chance for the car to reset and hold itself into position before attacking again for the next couple of laps, and hoping that there'll be something that wakes it up. You've also got Clapper and Verbruchen together, and Stephen Bullock. Oh, well, this pretty much tells you all you need to know. He would have had cold feet immediately, and now it's a case of a virtual need for even more cooling to be put to the feet.
Absolutely, but back up at the front, looking at this battle with Roloff and Tashima. Roloff still holding on to this position, but Tashima can just not find a way by, and it's one of those things as well. You can maybe go to the high line and then basically maybe duck to the low line just to try and kind of just put Tashima off. But Tashima now trying the high line to try and get by. Can he get the momentum? It looks like he might be able to carry it.
Oh, more than might. That is definitely trying to carry it. Shunsuke Tashima needs to confirm it out of the dogleg here into turn 3, struggling a bit on the third line, and then looking to try and pinch on down and get more of a run. Roloff really working hard on that inside, but just cannot get through the gears. And Shunsuke Tashima's there, big drama in front. 2 cars go off. Cam Porter is one of them who was caught up in the incident there, who was running in 12th place at the time, immediately takes the tow, and I think it was contact between Ryan Turcotte and Gabriel Pellegrino, which was going on for the top 10.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got a replay coming up of to see what happened to Pellegrino, and it looks like a bit of contact on the home straight.
So they're dealing with all of that torque that goes through the rear wheels as they scrap off the exit. Gabriel Pellegrino ultimately ends up in a position where it does not look quite nice as he goes by. He's got the black and orange mechanical flag, so that will promote David Tomaszki from 28th position up to 10th. Talk about a day to get points in the F2 Championship, and talking of days, that is a struggle for one driver trying to jump into pit lane. That's Kurt Clapper.
Yeah, it looks like Kurt might have either had a spin on the exit of the final corner, or maybe had some slight contact. But again, looking at this battle between Tashima and Roloff, it looks like Tashima's managed to regain that or retake that third position from Roloff. So it looks like Tashima's starting to use a bit of use the same tricks that Roloff's been using as well in the high line.
And because of this, and we talk about this being a tyre save game here today with the hot temperatures that we've had, this has been a great hold in that third place battle. Clapper just sliding about and then catching the inside pit wall then off the exit, and choosing then to try and slowly inch the car back around without getting disqualified for going backwards and into the pit lane. So that certainly gave a lot to manage out there as we now sit with 3.5 laps to go worth of racing, and Roloff looks like he's second best. For Verbruchen looking for any way to deal with Seb Clapper. Sorry, I've got to say it correctly.
Yes, Seb Tixier. So yeah, Verbruchen trying to retake that position from Seb, but it looks like Seb's doing a good defensive job. So I think the only way for Kevin to get by is using that high line, try and carry that momentum. And as I say that, it looks like Kevin's trying to do that, but he can't keep the mid corner speed up to try and make that move. But as I say that, it looks like he might be able to get the move done heading down to turn 1.
will try and make it happen here. Launches around the outside. It will be Clapper, though, who holds and keeps the inside line working. The drive off the exit there, but a wiggle through the middle isn't going to do many favours for Kevin Verbruggen. He loses out at the dog leg as they push. White flag lap then is just half a lap away for car number 3, which is Henry Morse out there at this moment, as again Verbruggen looks to pick up the run. It's half covered then as they go through, weaving about like nobody's business as they run through. Last lap though starts for Henry Morse, who has walked out to a 5-second margin over one of the great wheelers in all of motorsport, which is Topi Courtaniemi here in the classic scene. Henry Morse would have highlighted this day, would have seen the troubles that have befallen the likes of Jorge Nieva and Mick Claridge and gone, this is my time to start putting a championship claim in. Monstrous from Henry Morse, who will come to the line and will take the duel at the desert here in Phoenix.
Yep, Topi Courtaniemi finishes second, coming across the line now. And it looks like the final step on the podium is going to go to Shima over Roloff and John Olsen.
A good scrap for the top 5. Tashima had a bit of help with the traffic late. Last runners then will come through, Clapper, Verbruggen, and then Luca Harrison will be the last car on the leading lap, who will find the checkered flag on what has been a very, very tough day for attrition values out there. Everybody getting a little bit of something out of it that they didn't necessarily want. But let's get confirmation of results then on your screen, where Henry Morse, 34 minutes, 55 seconds, wins by 4.6 over Topi Courtaniemi. Shunsuke Tashima will round out the last spot on the podium. Warren Roloff will finish 4th ahead of John Olsen, a gap of just about a 10.5 there between them, as Seb Tixier will get 6th place from the back, as Kevin Verbruggen ends up 7th, and Luca Harrison in 8th place, the last finisher on the leading lap. Mickey Friesen would be 9th, 1 lap down, 2 laps down for David Tomaszki. A big day in the F2 standings.
Yep, Tobias Hermey finishes in 11th with Jeffrey Stanton in 12th, with 13th going to Kurt Clapper, and then Gabriele Pellegrino finishing in 14th, having issues towards the end. And then Henry Viramaki in 15th. 16th was Ryan Turcotte, and then Cam Potter unfortunately retiring from the race towards the end. Alan Graham retiring as well in 18th, with 19th Jorge Nieva and Kyle Ridley in 20th.
And then this is a real graveyard of those who could not find finishes. Mick Claridge does finish, but he's 21 laps down with damage repair. Michael Grissinger 22nd and Stephen Bullock 23rd. Max Linden, Ray Oliver, Arturus Candelis, we saw what happened there with Kevin Verbruggen, would have been on for a great result. Jason Clapper caught up as well. A big one involving Donald Peake and Sven Oberholzer then caused a lot of dramas. Yoshiharu Hashimoto found the barriers early on, along with Bill Tyler, Gary Ho, and not a day to remember for Laust Olsen, who can only sit down and say, I am at the very back of this field. We are going to get a chance to talk to a couple of our drivers. We'll start first and foremost with your race winner, Henry Morse. Henry, when you look at an oval race like this, and no, it's a great unknown for many drivers, and a lot will try and take this as a drop round. Did you see this today as a race that you could circle in your calendar and say, I can pick up points compared to everyone else?
I thought there was a chance, as long really as there was a setup that worked. We have there was a bunch of setups that were shared. Certain Richard Trickle shared a set that I made a slight gearing modification to. I think a lot of guys are shifting between 4th and 5th. I just shortened his 5th gear by 1 click and left it in 5th the whole way around the lap. And that did it for me. So, yeah, I knew that if there was a set that worked well, that I could make it work.
You certainly had a great ability to weave your way through the traffic. It certainly paid off in its dividends, because you're able to build a gap by taking that race lead and then managed to extend it out to 5 seconds. How difficult was it dealing with the traffic, and especially on a no cautions run? How difficult was it to deal with a little bit of carnage here and there?
It's a lot more challenging in this car on this track than really most other places, and the reason for that is because typically as you rapidly close the distance to traffic, you end up making last second split second decisions between am I going left, right, slowing down, am I going to go for it, and you can't really, this car doesn't have the agility to do those last minute direction changes. So yeah, it was a lot harder, and this week was one of the first weeks I think I ran races earlier in the week. We have a couple splits that go official on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I didn't do the Friday one, but that definitely helped as well.
So a lot of experience that was gained. This will absolutely help you vault up the championship standings here in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends. And so now it's going to be about where next for you, because in terms of where you're going this season, it will now be Oulton Park as the next round of the championship. How do you look to take this from Phoenix and try and translate it back to road course racing?
Oulton Park is a favorite of mine, to be honest. I'm hoping I get to run there. I'm actually going to be moving later today and tomorrow, so I should have my rig all back together by next week. And yeah, Oulton's a total favorite of mine, so really, really looking forward to that one.
Nothing better than a very comfy racetrack for Henry Maurice, who wins here today at the Phoenix Oval and will look to take some advantage heading over towards the next circuit of Oulton Park. Second position today belongs to Topi Courtaniemi. He stood by with Ryan Walker.
Indeed, stood with the Finnish driver of Topi Courtaniemi, finishing in second place. And Topi, you had a good start to the race, but then Henry just got in front and they took command of the race. Did you have any more in the tank, or was that did you just decide to play it sensible?
I think Henry was legit faster in general. In hindsight, I could have pushed more, but I really didn't dare. I mean, I wasn't sure if it was worth the tenth or two that was needed to catch him, but yeah, I'm happy with second.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think is this your first time racing this season? I believe.
Yeah, first time racing in like 3 months, and I think it's probably over a year when I've last raced ovals in the 49.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you find the traffic and the race in general around the Phoenix? With the traffic, did you find it difficult? Was it frustrating, or was it better just to have patience?
Yeah, I think the traffic was good. What wasn't good was my ability to deal with it. So I don't know. I need more practice, more races.
And as we look ahead to Oulton Park next week, are you planning to make another appearance, or are you just picking and choosing the races that you like to do?
I think it's probably 50-50. We'll see.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on second place, Topi, and hopefully if we don't see you next week, hopefully we see you at some point before the end of the season.
Thanks, Ryan.
As that was second place, Topi Courtaniemi joining me, and I believe up next, Jake, you have got Sebastian Tixier with you, or aka Seb Clapper.
I do. I don't quite know how to name you. I'll just call you Seb for this one because it feels very stick-like. Choosing a season to start from the back of the field and work your way forward, could you ask for a better race where there is so much carnage that you can pick up so much free advantage from? Seb, have we got a copy? Well, this is going to be awkward because we do not have Seb Tixier here speaking at the moment. Let's try again. Seb? No dice. Has a wonderful, wonderful setup, but unfortunately hasn't invested in a microphone by the looks of things. So that is going to bring proceedings to a close then here today from the Phoenix International Raceway. I want to give a massive thanks to the entire team who has brought this show over to you. We'll try one last time. Seb, do we have a copy, mate? Well, we could hear the sound of a disconnection there from Discord, so it looks like we're not going to be able to get Sebastian Tixier in and working. So I want to give a massive thanks to the team then who's brought this show to you, from the likes of Dougie Beard with the cameras, Christian Deploy and Daniel Costello and director's chair and assistant, from Ryan Walker alongside me. My name has been Jake Sperry. Your Super Saturday is not yet over and done with, but next time we are with you here with the Grand Prix legends, we are going to be jumping over to Oulton Park, and it will be a fast Oulton Park because it's the international layout and we're not putting any chicanes in. So make sure to check that out. August 2nd will be the time and place where that brings itself to life. But as it goes, you've also got amazing racing, because later on today we'll be heading over to Canada, where Motorsport will house the IMSA Vintage Series. And then as we go around, you've got the likes of the Classic Lotus Grand Prix tomorrow, which will be having a very classic race at Brands Hatch Spa for the Porsche Owners Club. And then Grand Prix Legends will be back, of course, with Oulton Park as part of a Genesis Extreme production here on the Global Sim Racing channel. But on a day where normally drivers say this is a little bit of fun, today there was championship talk to be had. Henry Morse has decided he is going to stand up. The oval round will be his, and so long as he kept it out of trouble, he now brings himself squarely focused into the title picture. We'll see you in 7 days for racing action with the Grand Prix Legends, but see us in a couple hours for more racing action, as IMSA Vintage will soon be with you here with GSRC.
This is iRacing.